sons. They had joined hands to trample upon his rights and told him in a practical way that either put up patiently or die of grief. Imam Ali, continued to remain patient while his heart was consumed by grief, and he was facing a dilemma. 1. Died 786 AH. 2. Died 816 AH. 3. A group of scholastic theologians is called Murji'a. By the grace of Allah, it has now become extinct. Their belief was that if the faith is perfect, no action has any adverse effect. Actually, there was a political motive for promoting this belief. These people existed during the period of Bani Umayyah and they were supported by the Umayyads. The Murji'a wanted to legitimize the acts of the Umayyad rulers. I don't say this on my own, it is what history says. They used to say, "Sir, if your faith is all right, deeds are not important. If you like, you can perform good deeds, and if you don't like, you don't have to do anything. Deeds are not at all important." When the Umayyad rule declined, the Abbasids, due to the enmity they bore against the Murji'a, began to persecute the latter. But the pity is that the Murji'a thinking has found root in Shia thinking. However, the incident that I will narrate will prove beyond any doubt that the true Shia faith is absolutely against this thinking. Ahmad Amin has quoted a report from Abu al-Faraj Isfahani's Agani in his book, Duha al-Islam. Ahmad Amin is himself opposed to the Shias, but despite that, he has mentioned this narration. A person, whose name he had also mentioned, he used to say that a Shia and a Murji'a were having a debate among themselves regarding their respective beliefs. One used to say that the principles of Murji'a are more correct and the other said that the principles of Shias are truer. The Murji'a was saying that deeds are not important. Faith is of paramount significance, whereas the Shia was saying that deeds are necessary. Just then a singer passed by. I am saying that he was a singer as the narration is from Agani, which means song. The two said, "Let us ask him, because this man looks intelligent." So, they decided to ask him whether the Shias or the Murji'a was right. At last, they went to him and asked what his faith was, and whether the Shias or the Murji'a were right. He replied, "My upper portion is Shia and the lower one is Murji'a," meaning that I am a Shia by faith. But with regard to deeds, I am a Murji'a. Though I believe in the Shia faith, I do not act accordingly. Now, we have to agree that we have become a community that is like the Murji'a in thinking as well as behavior and deeds. It can be said that our religious thinking is dead. And when our thinking has become like Murji'a, our consequences will also be like them. When one thinks that deeds are not important, what will remain of the world? And what of the hereafter? Can we command any respect? Can we remain the foremost? No, never. Our thinking must be reformed because our way of thinking about religion is wrong. I can dare say that except for some secondary matters related to acts of worship, acts and transactions, our thinking is absolutely misplaced. Neither do we mention the right things in religious gatherings and sermons, nor do we write about them in our books and magazines. We also do not think along the right lines. Before we think of converting other people to Islam, we should consider our own position. Before we light the masjid lamps, we should first illuminate our homes. Religion is life, it is movement, it is awakening. But which religion? The religion brought by the Holy Prophet S. At the same time, religion is the opium of the masses. But which religion? The concoction that we have ourselves prepared. There is the famous tradition. If innovation spreads among the people, it is the duty of the Re1 Aegeus scholar to display his knowledge, otherwise he would become eligible for the curse of Allah. Ostad Murtaza Mutahari, Sayings. 4. So that there is no chance of fighting against the rulers. 5. Al-Mazahib al-Ilamiyya, pg. 158. 6. Thus, destiny has compelled the rulers to oppress, and we should be patient with their oppression. 7. Because he was equitable and a well-wisher of the community. 8. It is mentioned in Sahih Bukhari. Volume 3, pg. 166, published by Dar ul-Ishat, Karachi that, when Abu Hurairah narrated a tradition, those who were present there asked him if he had himself heard it from the Holy Prophet S. He replied, "No, I have taken out this tradition from my pocket." It is mentioned in Maruhuz Zahab, Volume 3, pg. 454, published Dar ul-Andalus that Abu Hurairah fabricated more than 5,300 Traditions attributed to the Holy Prophet S. Abu Hurairah has said about himself, "I have many registers of knowledge with me that I have not opened yet, and I had obtained 2 vessels of knowledge from the Holy Prophet S. I have opened one, and if I reveal the second, I shall be killed. And if I tell you all I know, people will say Abu Hurairah has gone mad." As-Sunnah Qobul at-Tadween. pg. 426, quoted from Tabakat ibn Sa'd, Fath al-Bari and Hulyat al-Aliyah. 9. Al-Sunnah consider Samra ibn Jundub also as a righteous companion. The compilers of canonical books have also taken traditions from Samra. Relating the incident of Samra, the teacher of Ibn Abul Hadid, Ja'far Iskafi, says, Muawiyah sent 100,000 dirhams to Samra that he may fabricate a tradition from the Prophet that the verse of, "And among men is he whose speech about the life of this world causes you to wonder, and he calls on Allah to witness as to what is in his heart, yet he is the most violent of adversaries too." 204, was revealed about Ali, and according to the Holy Prophet, he is the enemy of the religion of Allah, and that the verse, "And among men is he who sells himself to seek the pleasure of Allah, and Allah is affectionate to the servants too." 207, was revealed about Abdur Rahman ibn Muljam. When Samra did not accept that amount, Muawiyah sent him 200,000, and when he again did not accept, he sent 400,000. This time Samra accepted the money and narrated the above fabricated tradition. Shar Naj al-Balagha, Volume I, pg.358, Old Edition. This fabricated tradition had a very negative effect on the Islamic society, so much so that the Khawarij began to be called as sellers, or those who have sold their lives to Allah, because in this false tradition, Ibn Muljam is supposed to be the subject of that verse. That was the first negative effect of the fabricated tradition by Samra. 10. The patronymic kunyat of Hassan al-Basri was Abu Sa'id. His father was a freed slave of Zayd ibn Thabit. Hassan was born in the 8th year of Umar's caliphate. He lived in Basra all his life and died in 110 AH. He was an eloquent speaker and a respected person in the eyes of the public and government officials. He was the Imam of Sunnis in Basra. According to the report of Tabakat ibn Sa'd, Hassan Basri believed in predestination, and he considered it unlawful even to campaign against a cruel and murderous creature like Hajjaj ibn Yusuf. 11. The following statements by Imam Hussein are an illuminated torch to create fervor among the Shias of every period. O people, can you not see that truth is not being followed and evil is not being forbidden? In fact, it is only this which prepares one to meet the Almighty Allah. In my view, death is the only path to success, and living with the oppressors is nothing but disgrace. 12. Jews and Christians, who live under Muslims' protection. 13. This phrase most probably refers to the Umayyads, who were formerly the enemies of the Holy Prophet and were later defeated when the Muslims overpowered Mecca. They were technically prisoners and captives, but the Holy Prophet forgave them and let them free. Note of al-Islam. 14. Referring to the Holy Prophet's wife, Aisha, and the Battle of the Camel. Note of al-islam.org. 15. Uqba ibn Mut belonged to Bani Umayyah. The same Uqba who was one of the captives of Badr, and Nazar ibn Harith, who tortured the Muslims and blasphemed the name of Quran, were killed by the Holy Prophet. 16. The names of their idols. Note of al-islam.org. 17. Meaning God is one. 18. According to the authors of Mawaqif and Shar Mawaqif, consensus is not necessary for an oath of allegiance, and it is sufficient if 1 or 2 persons take it. The consensus of all Muslims is not essential. The consensus of the people of Medina is also not necessary. Until now the position has been that an oath taken by 1 or 2 is considered sufficient. The conclusion that can be drawn from the above statement is that one vote enjoys preference over the votes of the whole nation, and it is essential for the people to submit to it. Hence the oath taken by Muawiyah for Yazid was lawful, and the same is the case of inherited rulership. If a non-Muslim becomes aware of this statement, he will naturally say, "What has happened to the freedom and democracy of Islam?" Author. 19. The body of the Holy Prophet had not yet been buried when others started taking allegiance. This activity continued for